All right, we're live. Welcome back, Bacon Bits. Bacon has returned. It's been like 2 weeks. I see that loyal Christian is 100% of the audience right now, but I'm sure there'll be others coming along soon. So it's been a long couple weeks. I was on vacation. I missed a lot. I'm trying to even remember what I should be talking about here because it's been. Let's see. I left for Florida, I think 2 Sundays ago, and then last Wednesday, I don't know what the hell I was doing last Wednesday. I had an excuse, but I don't remember what it was. I know it was. Oh, I went to a concert. That's what it was, an unexpected concert. So yeah, so 2 straight weeks. I was just telling.
Who'd you go see?
The Moth and the Flame, they're called. I never heard of them, and my friend's sister, she had bought tickets, and she liked the band, and it was sort of like last second. She didn't have her friend dropped out, and she had a free ticket, so I took it and said, "Screw it." I like live shows anyway.
What kind of music do they play?
You know, they're sort of indie. I call them like indie alternative. They were decent. They weren't great, but they were decent. I was pretty pissed. I got there and ordered a. Well, you're not a drinker, but Ballast Point Grapefruit, which is a great beer, but it was like $8.50. I almost had a stroke at the bar. $8.50 for one beer? Jesus Christ! Just came back from vacation too, so yeah, I was obviously loaded. Yeah, hipster music. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that.
$8.50 for a beer is like movie theater prices, man.
I know. I was a little shocked because I was saying to my friend, "I'll buy the first round, you buy the second round." So I gave the lady 20. She comes back with $3. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute, what just happened?" And, she said, "Oh, those are $8.50." I said, "You gotta be kidding me!" Hey, there's Ruckus. So my friend says, it's time for him to buy the next round. I hear him say, "Hey, what's the cheapest beer you have?" So asshole finds them. They have like Rolling Rock or something. It was like $3.50. So he got off with the Rolling Rock.
We got Pabst Blue Ribbon. We'll pay you to take it off our hands.
Yeah, that's the circle I roll in. Those sons of bitches. Hey, there's Ruckus. How you doing, buddy? I thought you were going to be busy tonight, so I didn't know if you're going to be on. We're up to 4. So, I was just telling. Are you going? You're still. I keep wanting to say Daddy Warpig, but all right, we'll go. I'll keep. Just remind me because it's been a couple weeks to say Jason.
Oh, by the way, I launched a page. Apparently, there's a thing on Facebook called Pages. So if you go to, I decided to split off my obnoxious political commentary from like my fun personal stuff with people I'm friends with. So I started a page for Daddy Warpig on Facebook.
Good. I'm going to jump on that then.
It's www and follow this because it's complicated. It's www.facebook.com/Daddy Warpig.
There we go. I'm on it. I will jump on that later.
So just to give you a taste, one of the last messages I posted, and it all gets cross-posted to Twitter too, so stuff, if you're following me on Twitter, stuff that pops up on Twitter, half of it's going to come from this and half of it's going to come from my regular account. But the last thing I posted that got tweeted out is this: Marxism is economics for retards. Marxism-Leninism is economics for murderous retards.
Oh, I like it. I'm going to jump on that page fast. I like your political stuff. Oh, there's a message from Ralph. Had to run my cat to the vet. Oh, for Christ's sakes. I'll be back by the halfway point. So, all right. So Ralph will be in later, probably.
Wait, his cat is sick?
Apparently.
Freaking Gamergate.
I hate cats. I would just throw it out and get a new one if it was me, but whatever.
I bet some of those Gamergate sons of bitches snuck up into his house and poisoned his cat. Because that's right. What those sons of bitches do.
Which one of you assholes poisoned Ralph's cat? So while I was gone, let's see what I missed here. Sarkeesian kicked off another round of e-begging. She's getting out of the game market, though. She's trying to do regular videos about women in history or some stupid. What she wants to do is regurgitate her, gender studies crap back to you for $200,000.
She promised like 6 DVDs or 6 episodes or something, didn't she? Or is it 12 episodes?
I think it was 12.
And she delivered like 3.5, and now she's gone. That's it. She's done. She's quitting.
Yep. Well, you know, you couldn't take the stress of it all.
Oh yeah, all the harassment. People saying, "Oh, you're wrong." Oh, the harassment. You're wrong.
Well, you know what it is. This is what always happens with these guys.
Woman, she's wrong.
Her 15 minutes in the gaming industry were wrapping up, and she had to try to mainstream this sideshow that she's a part of, and this is going to be her attempt to do that. Otherwise, she can't just be a feminist game critic. I mean, there's only so far that road's going to go, and she's already gotten her Time magazine pimping her, and she had her interviews in Game Informer. I mean, she's made the rounds with this particular subject, and so she had to move on. I'm surprised it wasn't film or literature or something like that, but it looks like it's going to be general feminist blah blah blah, which is good because there's so much of that out there. She's not particularly good at it, and she'll probably just fade in the background. I would assume this is kind of her circling the toilet bowl now.
There's two great things about this that's hilarious. One is a rumor I heard, and I can't verify it, mostly because I haven't tried because I just don't care enough. I heard she ejected Full Macintosh from Feminist Frequency.
You know, I've heard that same rumor. I have no idea if it's true or how to even find out. I mean, you run in a circle far wider than mine as far as Twitter. Well, you used to anyway, so I don't have the contacts you do. So I have no way to find that out.
The other thing that's awesome is this chick she won that major award that I forget the name of, but it used to be big and important before they gave it to her. And then she was on the running to be Times Man of the Year. You know, she was part of the 100 people, and then she got to speak in front of the UN and bitch about everybody telling her she's wrong when she's wrong, and she's gonna write an entire video series bitching and moaning about feminists who have been overlooked.
Right.
She is one of the least overlooked people I can possibly think of for absolutely no reason. I mean, even Gloria Steinem actually wrote a damn book and got it published, The Feminine Mystique. This chick, I say that 3 times just to make sure it's triply offensive. This chick can't even make one DVD. She can't even produce 6-minute YouTube videos. She should be the most overlooked feminist in the world. We had last week an 11-year-old girl rip the crap out of BuzzFeed, okay? This 11-year-old girl can produce a 6-minute YouTube video, and Anita Sarkeesian can't. That
is hilarious, and that's an excellent point. And it's one of the problems with kickstarting people like Sarkeesian. But it's the opposite of how the economy really is supposed to work. Is what happens is you pay entirely up front for something that isn't done yet, and the motivation to finish it isn't entirely there, unless you're, especially once she started getting busy making her media appearances and things like that. I don't think she saw the need to even go back to it, and no one even complained. I didn't see her getting bombarded for it. I mean, Gamergate gave her some shit for it, but the people that paid for it didn't seem to care. So, whatever, just take the money and run, move on to the next series, and we'll see if that, she's trying to make her way into the mainstream media with this kind of feminist series thing. I know that's what it is. I knew it was going to happen eventually because this, like I said, this road only goes so far, so it doesn't surprise me. But I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, at this point, if you're giving her any money, you're a retard, so you deserve it. So,
well, yeah, that's economics for retards right there. That's who.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. If you're giving her a dime, then you deserve what you get, and what you're going to get is a crash course in gender studies. They're regurgitated psychobabble she pulls out of a textbook and mixes with a little bit of history that will probably be at best inaccurate, at worst completely distorted. And if that's what you want to spend $200,000 on, then go nuts. Christian, I gave her $5. You did not, you liar. You didn't give her shit. I don't believe you for a second. So that happened while I was away. I was in Florida. Everyone makes fun of me, but I'll tell you, man, I went to Disney, Jason, and I had a freaking hell of a time. I met a guy there who had brought his entire company. Everyone went to sleep early, and this always happens when I go to Disney. My in-laws were there, everyone was there, but they all went to sleep early, and I slink off to we are at this Caribbean Beach Resort, which is one of the resorts there, and it's a really nice. It's kind of like a mid-level one for Disney. It's not the most expensive, but how often are you in your room anyway? You're usually out and about, so who cares? But it's a nice resort, and I sneak off to this little bar. I call it the Tiki Bar. It's over by the pool. So I meet this guy there, and he's brought his entire company, and we're having a couple of beers, and he tells me that he brought them there because he wanted them to study, and learn customer service from the Disney's perspective. And I know Disney gets a lot of flack. There are people who hate Disney and they're money grubbing, and I know they're a leftist organization, but that is something that you can't take away from them. They have customer service down, and they have a culture of it that they've been perfecting for 40 years. That's pretty amazing. And I'm frankly surprised that more people don't do what this guy did. Now, he had a small to medium sized company, but he took about 15 of his employees and made them study how Disney does things. So I thought I was pretty impressed with him. I thought that was pretty forward thinking of the guy. I've never seen a lot of other guys do it, and it had to cost them a pretty penny, but I bet you in the end it's worth it if the lessons could stick, if they can pay attention.
Yeah.
But it's a fun time. I had a really good time, and they are down with the customer service, man. They're magic. I swear, you can watch someone throw a cigarette butt on the ground at Disney, and it's gone in half a second. It's just there's someone running behind you with a broom, or I've read a couple of Disney autobiographies, and he was a pretty fascinating guy. And the one that always stuck with me was that the story that always stuck with me was that when he was designing the park, the actual Disney park, he would go into the one in Florida I'm talking about. He would go in and he would go to wherever the nearest vendor would be, and he would start eating a hot dog that he had in his hand, or an ice cream cone, whatever he had that day. And he would walk in a random direction. And when he got done eating whatever it was he was eating, if there wasn't a garbage can there for him to throw his napkin and wrapper in, he would make someone put a garbage can there. And he would do that each and every day, and he would do it throughout the park until he was certain that there was, that kind of convenience was there for everyone. That's the kind of detail that, he put into it. If you haven't read a biography of his, I do recommend it. He's a pretty interesting guy, and one of the more insightful, I think I learned more reading his biography than I've read quite a few biographies over the years, but I learned a lot from reading about him. So
I will confess, the closest thing I've read to a biography of Walt Disney I've read is Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, I didn't. I meant to read that, but I never got around to it. Was it good?
I watched the movie.
Oh,
it was a good movie. It's got Tom Hanks in it. I enjoyed it.
I didn't actually see that movie. I do. You know what? I meant to, though. I do want to see it. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to put that back in my list. So that's where I was for week one anyway. I was bouncing around Disney World, making my feet hurt. And, boy, you don't realize how out of shape you are until you go from sitting on the couch and trying to walk through those parks.
Oh, yeah.
And we were pegging like 10, 11 miles a day on the walking around there. I was looking at the Apple phone, and I'm just like, Jesus. It's pretty sad when you're walking around Disney and you're like, oh, I think I'm getting sore from this. Well, you go from doing nothing to walking those things, and they're big parks. So you're on your feet for 10, 11 miles. But it was a good time. Fun was had by all. I think I missed a couple of when I left. I was playing Just Cause when I left the show off last, which I have now beaten and enjoyed. I don't think I'm going to go, and I was going to really buy some of the DLC because I really did have a good time with the game. It was fun, but I'm just backlogged. I got the Division sitting here, which I haven't started yet. I got Call of Duty sitting here. I got Far Cry Primal in front of me. I still haven't got the Tomb Raider, so I've got a backlog. So I think I'm just going to move on from Just Cause. I have the Fallout 4. I had the gold edition there anyway, so I'm gonna have to go back and play that DLC. It's included with what I bought, and I had a great.
Coming out soon.
It's coming out. It's coming out
in like 3 days soon, isn't it? 2 days?
Yeah, right. So I'm on an all-out blitz now to finish Black Ops 3, which we talked about a little bit in the green room. I have really enjoyed that game so far. I mean, I think it graphically it's pretty. It's a very nice looking game. There are some weird bugs. I have been saved into some funky situations, and there's some save point issues. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I've not the first game to have those, but like I said, it's maybe the first FPS I played since Rainbow Six that I was looking forward to anyway. And it's just because Rainbow Six left such a sour taste in my mouth, I kind of find myself enjoying the story of Black Ops 3 and the at least it has a campaign mode. I just don't. I'm so mad about Rainbow Six. I lose my tongue when I I don't even know what to say about it. And I think Game Informer just put Rainbow Six Siege on their top 50 of last year on that list, which to me boggles the mind. I don't even understand what they were thinking with that. But also, a bit of good news is that my Game Informer that came this week said that my subscription was finally run out, so I can stop throwing that rag into the trash once a month. I hate that thing. Yeah, the Division. You know what, Ruckus? I wanted to jump into it. I was all about it, but the thing is, I was having, as Jason knows, because he's on my Facebook page, I had an issue with my internet where Time Warner was charging me for high-speed business. I have high-speed business class internet, and what was my speed test, Jason, yesterday? 18.
I was just looking at your ping, man. That was like 30 milliseconds of ping. That's just murderous.
Yeah, right. It was brutal. The internet here was just crawling. So this morning I went down and grabbed the router and went down to Time Warner. Of course, they closed the one near my house, so I had to drive to half an hour. And then I had to get a new router, which seems to have, so far, the last speed test I ran, it had doubled from what it was yesterday. So I think it might have been the router. I can't be the line coming in because it's a brand new line. We built this house 2 years ago. So, I mean, it's not like it's an old line. It's a brand new line. So had to be the router. I'm hoping that's what it was. So I'll get back to the Division now that I can play it without it stuttering and jumping. The other problem I have with the Division, Ruckus, is that and Jason, is that I have it on Xbox One, and I can't seem to keep a controller connected to the Xbox One. They keep dropping out, which is fine if I'm playing by myself, but that game has no pause, and if I'm at a party or something and the controller drops out, it's an issue. So
that's
I don't know honestly, why that is.
I keep my Xbox One controller hooked up with a recharge cord.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I might have to do, but the way our setup is upstairs, I'm a decent distance away from it. It doesn't quite reach. I can do it if I want to sit on the floor. It doesn't quite reach the couch, but if I want to sit on the floor, I can do it. Which maybe something I'll just have to suck it up and do. It's not an issue that I can solve. I've tried everything. Believe me, I've tried it all.
When they started manufacturing the upgraded Xbox 360, they changed their wireless. I don't know if it's the circuitry or the driver or whatever, but the Xbox 360 upgraded the Slim one, whatever they call that, the Slimline one. That and your Xbox One both have really shitty Bluetooth connectivity. They're both just terrible.
It's brutal, man. I'm telling you. Yeah.
The original Xbox had great. I mean, that was one of the few things that worked flawlessly on the original Xbox.
Yes,
was their Bluetooth.
It was flawless. I remember that. It was. This is absolutely brutal, man. You're just playing along, and sometimes it won't happen for half an hour, and then all of a sudden, in the span of 5 minutes, it'll drop out 2 or 3 times. It's crazy and annoying. I've tried everything. It's just it's incredibly frustrating. So I try not to play online too much with the Xbox One, just because I can't. And it's ridiculous that I can't solve the problem. I mean, I've read through their FAQs, and I've updated the controllers, and I've tweeted at them, and I've emailed them, and I've read every message board there is to read, and it just nobody seems to have a solution for this. So I don't know. I don't know what it is.
This is something that happened while you were gone, and it actually has a lot to do with what we were just talking about. So it's a good segue. Microsoft announced that they are making their game dev kit for Windows and Xbox the exact same kit. So basically, all your Xbox One is going to be, and they also announced they're going to be upgrading the hardware for the Xbox One more regularly than just once every however long. So basically, your Xbox One is just simply now going to be a cheap, crappy gaming PC. It's not going to be an actual console anymore.
You're right. It's not a move that it surprises me all that much. I thought that they were going to move out of the console market. They lost a shit ton of money on the 360. And from what I can tell, the PS4 is still beating them, or at least got an edge in the United States on them. So it doesn't shock me. But yeah, I mean, who wants a? The thing is too that if you start doing that, if your Xbox is all of a sudden upgradable, then there's going to come a point in time when you're forced to upgrade, because what happens is that you're going to start, all of a sudden the Xbox One games are going to have system requirements, obviously, and they're not going to keep making them for outdated system requirements. So even if you don't want to go out and upgrade the thing, you're going to have to. And then you're going to have people who do and who don't, and who do right away and who wait a little bit. So then then all of a sudden, instead of everyone having the same Xbox One, there's going to be 5 or 6, variations that everyone could possibly have, which is what happens when you're on a PC, when you're running, trying to run PC games. So now you got, you're right. It's just a PC. So you're going to have to turn over the box and look at the system requirements, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. Who wants that? That's the beauty of a console, right? I just want to plug the goddamn game in and play the game. I don't want to have to look at system requirements. I don't want to have to upgrade things. I don't want to have to deal with Windows shitty software. I just want to put the game in and play. If I wanted a Windows PC, that's what I would have gotten. And I know they're saying, well, they don't want to wait till the next console cycle to be able to upgrade, but I call shenanigans on that too, because for the last 2 console cycles, what all the developers said right after the console cycle ended was we were just figuring out how to get the most out of the previous console. Yeah. They said that about the original Xbox. They said it about the 360. When they killed the Xbox, the developers were just figuring it out, how to get the most out of that console. And again, with the 360, it was the same story. So this console, you're saying, is going to be outdated in a year, need to be updated, and I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm saying the developers are going to be figuring out how to get the most out of this in 2 years from now. So it's not going to need to be upgraded. There's no need for that. I think they're just trying to gracefully exit the console market. I can't figure out what else that move would be intended to do.
That's exactly what I said. I said this is effectively Microsoft's official announcement that they are done with making consoles.
Right, that's what it is. I think they're raising the white flag without raising the white flag, and I believe some of the software studios, their logos have been vanishing on the Microsoft site. I think I read that somewhere.
The Fable game that was coming out has been canceled.
Really?
Yeah.
Lion's Head?
Yep, they're shuttering Lion's Head, and the Fable whatever, where you had one player that was kind of the GM and the other players would go through whatever scenario they set up, canceled.
Well, after Lion's Head apologized for that tweet last year, which, after the SJWs bashed them, I don't really care. I'll just piss on their graves. I'm fine with that. That's what you get for being pussies. Besides, I'd had enough Fable anyway. I don't know what else they were going to do, but I've had enough Fable. And now, have you played Far Cry yet? Because I'm curious how this Primal is going to work.
I have not played Far Cry Primal yet. It's in my GameFly queue, but it's definitely not something I would ever pay money for.
I don't know, man. I enjoy Far Cry. I just like I said about Just Cause, though, they're basically the same game. And if I was able to go back 10 years and find somebody who, say, wasn't even a gamer, and show them Just Cause 3 and Far Cry 4, and I think they would think maybe they're playing the same game if I switched them out. There's not a lot going on there in terms of difference. It's basic, tower defense kind of thing. You take over their tower, and you go to the next one, a little bit of story,
Just Cause 2 is one of my favorite games to play, just of all time. I just love playing Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3 pissed me off. I just hated it. Everything about it. I don't even want to get into it because I've ranted about it before. Far Cry 4 is actually a really good game. I think it's much better than Just Cause 3. I'm not saying they're different games. I'm just saying I think Far Cry 4 is a better game than Just Cause 3 was.
Well, I enjoyed them both. To be honest with you, I don't think that they were different, like you said. I mean, that wasn't a big problem with me because I thought, maybe, if how you kind of left you wanting more. So I thought maybe if you just jump into the, Just Cause 3. I'm surprised you had that much of a problem with it, actually, because I kind of enjoyed it. I like the goofy physics of it. I like sticking those explosive. I mean, come on, tethering a guy to a gas can, shooting it, and watching it rocket him around the board. It never got old to me.
I would rather go back and play Just Cause 2 in backwards compatibility than play Just Cause 3. And I spent, I think it was $80 for my copy of Just Cause 3. And so I get all the DLC and stuff. And one of the DLC packs just came out, the Flying Fortress pack or whatever it was. And I had actually, I deleted it off my Xbox One. I would have to go back and re-download the whole thing just to try out that DLC. That's how much I disliked it. I have games. I have 6 terabyte drive that I install stuff on, and I still deleted Just Cause 3.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm a little surprised. I will say this: I think they missed out. In those little seaside towns where the nuns are walking around. I took the if you place that explosive just right, and it's got the rocket booster on it. If you place it just right, you can get the guy to fly up in the air before he explodes. He'll go up there screaming, So I stuck one to a nun, just because I was hoping against all hope that there might have been a flying nun achievement for doing it, but there wasn't, and I think they missed an opportunity there. There should have been a flying nun achievement, if you ask me. That's what I would have done. But I overall enjoyed the game. I think I reviewed it over on BaconBitShow.com, and I think I gave it 4 out of 5 bacon strips. I think maybe 3.5 out of 5. I can't remember. I have to go look. But I actually wrote that on vacation, so it's only been a week since I actually put something up there. So I hopefully to get back to doing that this week. But it's just been a hell of a couple of weeks. Ruckus does have a new article up. He's going to do something again for Martial Arts Monday, and I'll get something new up there. I'm playing a lot of Xbox. I haven't turned on my PS4 in a while. Oh, well, Christian, I'm with you. I've been playing a lot of Xbox too, and I don't really have. The only thing I had for the PS4 recently was Rainbow Six, and I just didn't care for it, so I haven't really turned it on. And I did open myself a Steam account. It almost caused me to smash my laptop over vacation. I was trying to download Steam games when I was in a hotel, and they were just driving me nuts. Nothing would run. Nothing would download, and if they did download, they immediately needed massive updates, and then they wouldn't start. And a couple times it was just a hassle, and so I gave up on it. But I mean, I'll try again if there's eventually I'll try again. I just don't know if I want to sit around on my Mac and play games. So. But I did open a Steam account just in case there was something and someone told me I had to play, must play, and I thought I'd try it. Who knows? Maybe that's what I'll be playing on the One soon. Because they're going to turn it into a PC.
I've had really good experiences with Steam on the Mac. I'm kind of surprised. I guess maybe I've been lucky.
You know what? There's a lot of things it could have been. I mean, it could have been Disney's shitty in-room Wi-Fi that was causing me the issue, and maybe the updates weren't as big as I thought, and it's just because they took so long, or it could have been the fact that I mean, I clicked on a lot of games that were not for Mac, and they told me right away not for Mac, and I would back out of them. Then I decided I was going to click on Star Trek Online, and I did not get the just for Mac or that it's not for Mac message, so I installed it. When I went to run it, it would not play, and so I updated it, and it had a pretty massive update, and I kept starting it. It kept crashing. It took Steam down a couple times, and I dicked with it for like an hour before someone told me I don't think that game's for Mac. But it never told me that. Usually a message pops up and tells me I'm trying to install something that isn't for Mac, but it didn't. So I don't know. I don't know why it let me install it if it wasn't for Mac, but it did. And apparently maybe that was the problem. But I don't know. I thought it was weird that it would let me install it at all. What else happened while I was gone?
I've got an asshole up here on top of the building who's shooting one of those mini nuke launchers, and he's dropped 2 of them in and around us, and Valentine says, I don't think we're alone. Really?
You're still playing Fallout?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome. Indiana Jones 5 got the announcement when I was away.
Yeah.
Or as I as I said on Facebook, Disney announces plans to break into Harrison Ford's retirement home, turn him upside down, and shake him until all the cash falls from the pockets, or he's dead. Which is the only way I can finally figure out how to describe. I don't know. I don't. Just let it die. Can't you see that franchise wants to die? Just let it die. It's done. We don't need another shitty one. Let it. You already tarnished it. I don't know that we need another one where they're 75. And what are they going to do? If I know Disney, this is going to be yet another attempt at a passing the torch kind of movie. Where they're going to try to bring in some kind of young guy, or somehow, which they just tried to do and it didn't work. But somehow they're going to try and figure it out. I don't know if they're going to Abrams it and mess with the timeline or what they're going to do, or maybe just pretend Crystal Skull didn't happen, or I don't know. But I can't see them bringing this one back unless they were trying to pass the torch and get a couple more out of it. So I don't know. That's my guess.
Indiana Jones doesn't work in the 50s and 60s. It just doesn't. That's just not the right era for Indiana Jones. I mean,
no, it's really not.
And so the only way to redo Indiana Jones, or to keep this series running or whatever, is to reboot it with a new star.
Right, and maybe they will. I don't know. I mean, who's to say that they won't? I don't know what they're going to do, and maybe just because Harrison Ford signed on, I don't know that necessarily means he's going to be. I mean, he could be. He could play maybe he's someone's grandfather, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't imagine he's going to be the focal point of the action, though. The guy's 150 years old. he broke his hip making Star Wars, for Christ's sake. I can't imagine he's gonna.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it'll be interesting. Spielberg returns. I don't know if it's gonna be. I hope it's decent. I mean, I can only hope it's decent. I mean, I love Harrison Ford. I really do, and I love Indiana Jones. The franchise, the first 3, some of my favorite stuff ever. But
yeah.
That Crystal Skull thing was abysmal, and I just don't want to see another one like that, because that's just a big turd.
Seriously, it was like getting punched in the face.
It was. Yeah, it really was. And I mean, but it gave us Nuke the Fridge, though, which I think is a great... It's right up there with Jump the Shark as one of the great phrases, so I'm glad that at least we took that from it, right? I guess. Oh, God, man, I don't know. I'm not even looking forward to it. I will. I mean, obviously, I'll go see it, but there will be trepidation. I will be nervous entering the theater that I'm going to get screwed again.
I won't be nervous. I explained this to a friend of mine the other night. I just started watching Bubblegum Crisis, the anime. And a lot of people said, oh, no, it's bad. It's terrible anime. You don't want to watch that. You don't want to start an anime experience with that. But here's the thing. I haven't watched a lot of anime before. Mostly what I've seen are people joking about anime and parodies of it, like the anime parody that's in Grand Theft Auto 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started watching Bubblegum Crisis, they had a couple of really bizarre things on there that all the anime parodies had prepared me for. I was like, oh, yeah, I expect that, because it's anime. You just kind of expect, chicks to have weird pink hairdo and really weird shapes and stuff. You just expect that. It's anime. Of course that's going to be there. And so I was desensitized to all the weird anime crap.
Yeah.
And so I've got friends who are panicking about Batman versus Superman or Indiana Jones 5, and I'm just like, look, I have already been desensitized to those because I know they're going to be shit. So I'm going to go to the theater. I'm going to sit down. I'll watch them. They'll be shit. And I will be entirely unsurprised. And so, it's not going to bother me as much as if it would if I went in expecting it to be a good movie.
Yeah, I have zero desire to see Batman versus Superman. I want to see Cloverfield Lane. I've heard really good things about Goodman's performance in that, and frankly, I think it's pretty astounding that Abrams kept that under wraps as long as he did.
Yeah.
That nothing about that thing leaked. Did you? I mean, have you noticed that that thing was a secret?
Nothing. It was airtight.
In this day and age, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. And they say I've already heard Oscar buzz around Goodman for that one. So, not from, and who, frankly, the Oscars are dead to me anyway. But there's that. Deadpool. I still haven't seen that one yet. So those are the two I got to get out this week and check them out. Just as an aside, if you look up the box office numbers on this last round of Oscar winners, which I think also happened when I was on vacation, usually those movies will get a spike from winning or even being nominated. And if you go and look at some of these winners, you'll see that they still have basically made about $20 at the box office. This was such a weak, shitty crop of movies that they got behind this year that they're not even getting the usual financial bump that they get from winning the Oscars. I mean, Spotlight still. I mean, go look at that one. It's brutal how little that movie's made. No one's bothering to go see it, and I'm so tired of people telling me how brave Mark Ruffalo is making that movie and what a challenging, brave movie this is. This story's been told, guys. The Spotlight story, the pedophile priest story, it's been told a million times. It's nothing brave about this, Mark Ruffalo. So you made a movie about, it's been open season on the Catholic Church in Hollywood for 20 years now. So you jumping on that doesn't make you brave. And then you run out in front of the Oscars and you have some pithy, stupid protest about priests in front of the Oscars. That doesn't make you brave. And then you tell a story that's been told probably 200 times before you, and that doesn't make you brave. I'm sorry. It's just not, if you want to be brave, make a story about sexual abuse in some Muslim countries that we know about. That stuff's documented. No one's telling that story. That would be brave. If you want to tell that story, then I'll call you brave. But I bet you're not going to tell that story.
You know who you could argue easily was brave? Jim Caviezel.
Yes. That's right.
His career got killed by playing Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ. Killed. Just destroyed his career until he got on the TV show. It was
Person of Interest.
Person of Interest, yeah. He so yeah, just he was brave. Mark Ruffalo, not brave.
Not so much. He's going to retire on his Hulk money and he'll be fine anyway. Yeah. And there's nothing original about the story, and there's nothing brave about telling the story again. So you just stuff it, Hollywood. And I knew they were going to nominate it the second I saw what it was about. I just knew they were. And so it's just, I don't know. It was a weak crop of movies, and
I was actually surprised. The Oscars surprised me this year because I expected the transsexual Danish movie. I expected a guy from that to win.
Somebody did win, though, didn't they? Didn't he win?
He didn't win. They gave it to the guy from Tom Hanks's spy movie.
Somebody from that movie won. Maybe the girl in that movie won. Somebody won in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Alicia Vikander. Because she's hot. She's starting out. She's really, really hot and starting out. And those kind of people, young women who are starting out, tend to win the Oscar.
She was better in Ex Machina. I mean, she was good in Ex Machina. You didn't like that, though, did you?
It was okay. It wasn't a great movie. I didn't. It wasn't new or original.
So, as Ruckus mentioned, before I forget, Daredevil season 2 is this Friday. So yeah, I'll be up.
Yeah.
I'll be all over that. I'm going to be all over that. I'll try to write it up if I can, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
It looks really, really good. The Elektra, the actress they chose to play Elektra, looks perfect. I love that.
Yeah, I saw her actually. She does look great.
And then the guy they chose to play Punisher, who was in the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead, Joe Bernthal. He's a great actor. And I think
I like him.
I think he can do a great job as the Punisher.
I don't know. There's only one Punisher to me. That's always going to be Travolta. that Travolta movie. I saw that in the theaters, man. I almost burned the place down. I was so mad.
Don't get me wrong. I'm actually a big Travolta fan if he's in the right material. But
I used to be, yeah. But he's made some bad movie, and that was horrible.
But he always has, though.
I might be able to make a case that is the worst comic book adaptation I've seen. Maybe. I saw an adaptation on, and I meant to ask you about this, on Netflix, and I believe it's for a graphic novel that I have never heard of because I'm not really into those anymore. I mean, not since I was a kid, but it was called The Scribbler. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's pretty decent. It's weird. It's a little bit artsy, but yeah, Battlefield Earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard to describe that movie, but if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth. I hate to recommend movies to you because I know it'll be 6 years before you get around to it. You got stuff on your plate, but
do you know how many movies I have in my iTunes that I haven't watched yet?
I know. We go over this every time I get excited about a movie, and I think, oh, you know who would like that, and then I remember it's pointless to.
102.
There you go. Okay.
Now, some of them I have seen before I bought them, but I have 202 unwatched movies in my iTunes.
Okay, so Katie Cassidy, Michael Imperioli is in it, and also I'm trying to think the guy from
Katie Cassidy, who is stunningly hot, who is in Supernatural, and is also in is it Arrow?
Yeah, I think it's
She plays
Arrow.
Black Canary in Arrow.
Right, that's right. And the guy, he's on a lot of Fox shows, and he was just on something. He was just on Justified. He was on the last season of Justified, and
Not Nick Cersei.
No, not him. He was also on that show about raising Hope, I think it was called, on Fox. I believe he was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles too.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about. He always, or at least in Sarah Connor Chronicles, he plays that one Terminator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Garrett Dillahunt. You know him if you see him. You'll know him as soon as you look him up. But yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. Yeah, he's good. And that's if you haven't seen it, and you like that kind of thing, it's a little bit dark, it's a little bit weird. Like I said, it's really hard to really put a finger on it. It's definitely artsy, and it's a clever twist and turn kind of story, and but it's definitely a little dark, a little depressing, but it's well worth a watch. That's The Scribbler it's available on Netflix. I have no idea where else, but look it up. If you're not named Daddy Warpig and you don't have 300 movies in your queue, then go ahead and look it up. She guest starred in Flash. Yeah, that's right, Ruckus. It's freaking DVR missed a couple episodes of Flash, I think. So I don't know what I'm going to do to catch up because Hulu Plus only keeps like the last 3 episodes. So I don't know how I'm going to catch up on that unless I just throw away the whole season to wait for it to catch, to come to Netflix. But the season, there are 3 episodes that it failed to tape, and one of them was the beginning of the crossover episode with Arrow, which also meant I had to stop watching Arrow because I couldn't start watching the crossovers. So I'm kind of in a pickle here with those. I don't know if I should just wait until those seasons appear on Netflix now or what, but they're not available on demand for some reason. And Hulu's worthless with it. So,
well, if you have some disreputable friends, they might be able to give you pointers.
Yeah, if Ralph was here, he'd be telling me to download the I got to get a VPN, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I am not so disreputable as to either know about that kind of thing, but I would definitely never do anything disreputable on the internet without a VPN.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't either. I've already gotten a few warning notices from my provider, so I can't mess around with it anymore. I don't want to get caught or sued for $1 billion or something like that.
I am so ticked. I went and watched The Sword of Destiny, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Sword of Destiny on Netflix. We did a half-hour show on it on Geek Gab where we talked about, the movie. So it's half-hour long. There's no video. There's no audio from it. There's no pictures from it. There's nothing but me and a couple of my friends talking about it. And the Chinese movie distribution company who owns the rights to it DMCA'd me on YouTube.
What?
Yeah.
They can't, that's fair use.
Well, it's not fair use because I didn't use any of their copyrighted material. If I had used their copyrighted material, it would be fair use, but I didn't even use that. So it's no use. I didn't use anything.
So, and YouTube, of course, knocked it right off, right?
Knocked the video right off and turned off our ability to stream live shows and turned off our ability to upload anything longer than 10 minutes.
And so you appealed it, right?
Yeah, I filed a counter notice, but it takes 10 to 14 days they have legally to respond to the counter notice. And I'm seriously just sitting. If he had watched my thing at all, it was obvious that a 30-minute show cannot possibly be a pirated copy of a 2-hour movie. It's not actually physically possible to pirate the entirety of a 2-hour movie in a 30-minute show.
And how did they even come across it?
Because the title was Geek Gab, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, yada, yada, yada. They did a title search and reported it because of the title. That's it.
I'll piss off YouTube. They got a responsibility to at least investigate. It would have taken them 30 seconds to figure this out.
Yeah, it's the Chinese company's fault. They didn't investigate at all. And YouTube, their hands are really tied legally. They have to take it down by law. But there are no consequences for companies who fraudulently report, who fraudulently DMCA things. There are no consequences for it. No legal consequences. So they can report anything they want, and they never have to worry about who they're screwing with.
That's right. That's brutal. I don't understand that at all. I do not understand that at all. It's never happened to me. I've been lucky. So I'm sure eventually it will. Yeah, Trump is right about China. You know what? That's a good point, Christian, because I haven't. I missed two of those. When I was on vacation, 2 straight shows. Didn't get to talk about the primaries or write about them. I was going to wait for Ralph, but his cat is at the vet, so I don't know where the hell he is. But two interesting things happened yesterday and today. The first would be that Kasich won Ohio, spent millions of dollars and countless hours trying to squeak out a victory in his home state, and then carry it on like he won the freaking Super Bowl. Yeah, where he was governor. And then he carried on, and then the media is trying to paint this as like some major victory, like this is a big blow for Trump, or what a big win for Kasich. I mean, the guy had 30 delegates coming in. This is not a big win for Kasich. There's no reason for him to even still be in this race other than he's essentially trying to cock block Trump, which is fine. I mean, if that's the strategy, but he's pissing away millions of dollars from his war chest, and on a race he cannot win. Even if it goes to a brokered convention, he still cannot get that nomination. So, so to have the media, and if you listen, Rush Limbaugh had a bunch of clips today, and I heard them. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of staff that can go gathering media clips, but the way that they were talking about that win this morning on multiple media channels, you would have really thought that Kasich basically had the nomination sewn up because he had that win in Ohio, and Trump won the other 5 states anyway last night. So it's gonna come down to some. It's gonna be it already is the most fascinating election cycle I've ever seen. Trump needs, for those of you who don't know, he has to get, the only way to lock it up and not have it go down to a brokered convention is to lock in 1,237 delegates. And that is also, it's also possible for that to change. The way that the Republican delegation works is that, the way the convention works is that they can basically change those rules on the fly anytime they feel like it. So if the establishment was mad enough and didn't mind alienating half their base, they could always up the amount of delegates you need to instantly lock in. I don't think that they would do that. I'm not saying they would do that, but It's possible there are rules that they can mess with to if they want to continue to jerk him around a little bit. But there is no path for Kasich to 1,237 mathematically, and there is also there is also talk that Trump doesn't have a way to do it either, but he does. These states coming up, I think 11 of them are winner take all states or winner take most states. So there is a way for him to get that number. It's interesting to me that Rubio dropped out. Now, Rubio suspended his campaign. He did not drop out. If he drops out, then his delegates get sort of released back into the wild and they're up for grabs again. But that would be behind the scenes, whining and dining kind of things. They don't automatically get assigned to someone. But because he suspended his campaign, he keeps his delegates. So there's moves being made behind the scenes to try to maneuver these guys into keeping Trump as out as it's possible to keep him, which is clear. There's no other reason Kasich would still be in there, and there's no other way he got crushed in his home state, and it was obvious to the entire world that was going to happen, and it was going to be embarrassing when it did happen, and there wasn't any reason that he was still even bothering to try as of 2 or 3 weeks ago, other than to cockblock Trump. So that's where we stand with it now. I mean, 2 pretty spectacular Super Tuesday victories for the Trump train. I don't know what to expect going forward. I don't know that he can get to the 1,237. Cruz has some momentum. I do believe if it's a brokered convention, he will not get the nod. They'll get someone else, and it better not be Romney. But I don't know who I'm not sure who it would be. But that's the way I see it happening. I don't think he gets to the number, and I think there's a brokered convention, and I think they shaft him out of it. Is my guess.
If they go to an open convention, and the first vote is deadlocked, Trump doesn't win the first vote, the only acceptable voting for the second ballot is Tim or Cruz, because those are the only 2 people who have put in a showing in this election is Trump or Cruz.
Right, and I think the last time a guy with a plurality of the votes did not get the nod was like 1948. But it isn't unprecedented. It is possible. There's precedent for it. So,
if the establishment gives the nomination to anybody besides Cruz or Trump, they will lose the general election because everybody will sit it out.
I agree with
entire
you.
base will sit it
That's
out.
true. They will. I mean, there's no question. And there's some fascinating things that if you dig deeper into these numbers too, the turnout in Florida, for example, the Republican turnout in Florida last night was basically like a general election sort of a turnout, like 70% of registered people, which is that does not happen in primary races. That kind of turnout just doesn't happen. And I think something like 36% of Democrats who were registered turned out to vote in that same primary. So I don't know what that tells you necessarily in terms of the bigger picture, other than maybe he's got some people excited enough that they're gonna turn out, and maybe if his turnout numbers are big, he's got a chance. I hear people say all the time he can't beat Hillary Clinton in the general election, but they're going off of polls. These are the same pollsters that told me Romney was going to beat Obama at the same point in time before the race had even gotten underway. These polls don't count. When you have as early as much as 5 weeks ago, we had 17 Republican candidates bopping around, and 10 of them on the debate stage at a time, and recently got down to 4. Now you're down to 3. These polls are meaningless. They're all fighting among each other. This isn't when the real campaign starts, when it's one-on-one, then you'll start to get some meaningful numbers. Right now, you're not getting any meaningful numbers. You're just getting guesswork, and it's if you run Romney against Hillary, what would he do? If you run Trump against Hillary, what would she do? These polls are, believe me, they don't count. At this point in time, 4 years ago, I was told Romney was going to win. So I don't buy into it. I'm sorry, I just don't buy into the fact that you can predict now which of these 2 guys, Trump or Cruz, would have a better shot at Hillary. And either way, she's extremely beatable. So I don't know. It's certainly not Romney. Now Romney all of a sudden coming out like he's got a brass set on him after being pushed around through his entire campaign, after being basically being castrated by Candy Crowley on national television. All of a sudden, he's going to be the unsung hero who races in with the spine and the backbone, and he's going to stand up and do something about it. Give me a break, man. You had your chance. It didn't work. It didn't work then. You were spineless then. You ran a terrible campaign, and we just don't need you. He's robocalling for Kasich in Ohio. It's the loser leading the loser, guys. And Kasich, I'm sorry. I think he's a nice guy, and I think he's probably a smart guy, but he's a walking sleeping pill. He's a terrible candidate.
He's a Democrat,
and he's a Democrat. Yeah, he's not. He's just not who he's not. He's not going to make any traction. There's no reason for him to be in there. So I don't know what to say. I still, my guess, if you want to write it down and make fun of me later, my guess is we go to a brokered convention, and yeah, they're not going to run Robbie. Nobody in their right mind is going to run Robbie.
Here's the benefits of the guess that you've just made. Your guess is just as good as anybody else's guess at this point, because anybody who says they know how this election is going to turn out is lying. They are lying their asses off, and you should never listen to their opinion ever again. Nobody.
By the way, which leads me to the other interesting thing. Okay, so Trump gives an interview last night and again this morning in which he used the same line in both interviews. And that was, if we go to a brokered convention and they steal this one away from me, even if I have the majority of the votes, I'm so popular, I think you could see a riot. I think there'd be a riot. And it was just a turn of phrase. That's what he meant, is his inference was, I'm so popular that people would be up in arms. Okay, it was quite clear what he meant. Then Shepard Smith comes on this afternoon and says, not once, not twice, but I counted 5 separate times that Donald Trump threatened a riot if he didn't get the Republican nomination. Then he has a guest on, and he says, did you hear Donald Trump last night trying to incite people to riot if he doesn't get the nomination? Now, it's a bald-faced lie. What Shepard Smith did was a flat-out lie. And it's interesting to me that he never played the soundbite of the Trump interview. He kept saying over and over again that he threatened a riot, but he never played the soundbite, which they usually do on those shows, which they usually say, when they say Trump gave an interview last night to our correspondent, blah, 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 and they usually then will show the relevant portion and then have the commentary. This time they had the commentary, and there was no cutaway to what Trump actually said, because if they did that, it would be quite obvious that Shepard Smith lied through his fucking teeth. I've never quite seen, at least, I mean, we've all seen journalists distort and lie, but that repeated in a 3-minute, 4-minute span, the repeated hammering of that same lie over and over again, that was quite clear he was hoping it would land somehow, was a little startling to me. I don't know if anyone else saw it. Probably not, because it was, what's Shepard Smith on, like 3:30 in the afternoon? No, I didn't read Bonner's comments. I don't care for him very much. And so anyway, you know what? If you go ahead and write it down, it's like making a Super Bowl pick at this point, right? You just want to say, who knows what'll happen? Maybe I'll be proven right, maybe not. We'll see in a couple of months. But that's my guess.
I want to repeat something I posted to the Facebook Daddy Warpig page. I'm not a Trump supporter, just so people know. But I completely understand why people support Donald Trump, and this is why. If you remember, way back in the Bush administration, when John McCain and a bunch of other Republican senators ganged up with Harry Reid and a bunch of Democratic senators to shiv a Republican president in the back in order to save the filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when Harry Reid and the Democrats got into power, they destroyed the filibuster anyway.
Right.
And then the GOP establishment pushes John McCain until he is the Republican nominee for president. And then he throws the campaign and gives us President Obama. Mm-hmm. And I want to explain that, throws the campaign, because you have to understand how openly, diabolically stupid John McCain was. At some point, there was some kind of tragedy, a hurricane or something. I don't remember what it was. But he suspended his campaign for president for
Yep.
3 weeks. And
Mhm.
before then, he was leading in all the polls. And after that,
Yep.
President Obama, Senator Obama, had the lead and never gave it up. So John McCain threw the election. He threw it away. So you ask me why people support Trump. It's because of 16 years of bullshit like that from the GOP establishment.
Right. That's right.
16 years of GOP establishment figures who stab the party in the back and then get nominated to run for president and then throw away the election, giving us President Obama, giving us not just President Obama, but absolute Democratic control of the House and Senate and White House, and giving us Obamacare. And then when the Tea Party comes along, the most passionate, the biggest political movement in recent years, these very same GOP establishment people spend 8 years, 7 years trying to destroy the Tea Party right along with President Obama.
Yep,
so
that's right.
Donald Trump is the revenge of average, ordinary people who have been screwed over time and time again politically by the GOP establishment. And I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't want to talk about it. It's your show, man. I'm not here to rant about Donald Trump. I just don't support him, okay? He's just not my candidate.
Okay.
I don't hate people who like him. I don't dislike you guys. I don't sneer at you guys. I don't talk down to you guys. I just don't support him. But I tell you what, I completely understand why you support him. And it's because of bullshit like that.
That's 75% of it is what you just said, and the other 25% of it is a byproduct of Gamergate. Really, I can look at it like that, and because I always called Gamergate everything gate. It's a pushback. Trump is a pushback on political correctness gone crazy. He's the guy. When you see Lionshead Studios or one of these other companies tweet or create an ad and then immediately retract and go apologize for it and scurry and hide under the table and hope the SJWs don't get too upset. Oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We shouldn't have made that joke. Well, Trump's the guy that makes the joke, and then when you say, hey, that's offensive, he tells you to fuck off. And that's the guy that at least I would say in 25% of the reason for his popularity. I've been saying for a decade now that sooner or later political correctness would get so out of control that there would be a pushback, and that pushback might come in the form of an obnoxious political leader, or it might come in the form of tipping the scales just the other way so that we're offensive for the sake of being offensive. There was a lot of ways I thought it might blow back, but I think finally the tipping point is what created Donald Trump.
It's astounding to me that none of the Republicans involved, I mean, not like running for president, none of the Republican Party realizes how much their base loathes and hates being told to sit down, shut up, and stop being embarrassing. Being told that they have to suck up to Democrats and pretend to be embarrassed because of their beliefs, pretend to be embarrassed because they love America, pretend to be embarrassed because they're pro-gun rights, pretend to be embarrassed because they're religious, pretend to be embarrassed because they think that, hey, you know what? Maybe an open border where terrorists can come over isn't a good idea. And you know what? Maybe having illegal immigrants come into the country and literally actually do jobs that Americans could be doing but aren't because illegal immigrants are, maybe that's a bad idea. And you have to pretend to be embarrassed for that? No.
Exactly. That's right.
Their base is pissed off at being told they have to pretend to be embarrassed for believing these things.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you another thing is that in line with that, that was what killed Marco Rubio, because he is a measured, well-spoken candidate, and I think he's an intelligent guy, but he comes off a little bit wussy-ish. And when he later in the campaign tried not to, he tried to be all of a sudden the alpha male in the room. It just rang false. And this was just happened to be a year where we're sick and tired of the country being run by beta males. We're sick of being told to apologize. We're sick of being told what's offensive and what we can say and what we can't say. And like all the things that you just listed, we're sick of being told we have to be embarrassed for that. We wanted a guy with a little backbone. And when Trump came along and said, I'll say what I say and I'll do what I do, and I'm not going to make apologies for it. And we all said, finally, Jesus, we couldn't get a company to behave this way when we wanted them to. We haven't been able to get a candidate to behave this way in 20 years. This is pushback. It's like I wrote in that one column that I wrote that these guys, these SJWs that hate him, created him. They're the monster. He's the monster they made. Without them, and look at what they're doing now, Jason. Look at these Chicago protests, for example. What effect do you think it's going to have? What effect does it have on the marketplace when SJWs tell you not to buy a game?
I am so mad. Seriously, I am so mad about the Chicago thing. Just enraged down to my roots.
Yeah, I am too.
Don't get me wrong. This is American politics, and we're not like Italy, and we're not like Japan. And people who say, "Oh, things are more, they're ruder and more divisive than they ever been." Bullshit. This is not as rude and divisive as it's ever been. We had, right before the Civil War, congressmen shooting each other in the halls of Congress, okay, in the Capitol building. Congressmen literally shot each other with firearms, gunpowder, and lead, okay? This is not the worst it's ever been, but it is immoral to settle problems in the streets with violence rather than at the ballot box. That is not how you do things unless what you want is a revolution or a civil war. Now, if you want a civil war, if you want people to start murdering each other over politics instead of yelling at each other over politics, then that's a choice you can make. But that's where this Chicago thing leads to. It's
because it is, you know what, it's more than that too. I mean, it is that, but it's your right to protest. I mean, it's stupid. You should just go and attend and support your own candidate. I don't really understand the point of protesting a candidate. Just don't vote for them. But if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. That's your right. But it's not your right to storm the stage, grab the microphone, knock the guy off. Then what you're doing is actually silencing someone else's free speech and having the gall to say, I did it because he's a bully. He's the bully?
Or these very same people, one of the co-founders of Black Lives, and don't get me wrong, Cruz's reaction to that, Rubio's reaction to that, all of their reaction to that pissed me off greatly. The only thing I can think that would make it a little bit better is that they genuinely thought these were people who were just so angry they reacted, that they didn't know that these were thousands of protesters who were bussed in, organized, paid for by George Soros and his various shadow groups.
Oh, yeah.
Like Media Matters and MoveOn.org and all those other groups that Soros supports.
That's right.
That's the only excuse I can think of for Cruz and the others to say, oh, no, it was Donald Trump's fault. I said, look, like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not. But it pisses me off when people blame Trump for mob violence that other people did. It is never, ever your fault for people mobbing you violently, for beating cops up. I mean, I saw a picture of a cop with his head bloodied.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That's right. It was the blame the victim thing they always accuse us of doing is what it was.
Yeah. And that was wrong.
You're right. Soros paid for all of that. He bust these people in, and there's talk now of him trying to ramp up that effort. Soros, you know what's funny is to me is that Soros behaves the way that the left accuses the Koch brothers of behaving.
Yes,
he's
exactly.
the one that behaves that way, you know. But they don't mind because he's on their side. But if anyone throws billions of dollars around and acts like a bully and buys people and just all of the boogeyman things that they say about the Koch brothers, it's exactly the way that Soros behaves. He's the one that they should be after.
One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, it's a woman, I can't remember her name, threatened to shut down the Republican convention with mobs.
I saw it.
I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know what's going to happen to that. I think the convention's happening in Cleveland, which isn't that seems like a bad thing to me. Seems like something Cleveland might let happen.
Yeah, because it's Cleveland.
Because it's Cleveland, yeah. Exactly.
What's the matter? Was Detroit booked?
If that's the way you want to play things, to where you want to throw mobs at each other and settle politics, you certainly can, but this is not That's not a battle you're going to win.
No, it's not.
Look, okay, there's a reason why leftists call them conservative gun nuts. Because they have all the guns.
Yep.
And if you really want to start a mob violence war with conservative gun nuts, the only reason why you would come out of that alive is because they're actually really nice, polite people. They're not actually nuts. They're just gun owners. And so if you want to start a mob war or a civil war with the people who have all the guns, it's not. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me. That sounds like a suboptimal solution.
Logic, not their strong suit. I'm glad that you mentioned the immigration thing, too, because I was thinking about this earlier. It's all over my Twitter page, and it's all over Facebook, too, is that the people who wind up anti-Trump, there's a coalition of them, there's a group of them that are also anti-borders. They basically don't believe nations have borders. They don't believe nations should defend their borders. They literally believe in open, just come and go as you please.
But it only applies to the United States.
As generally only applies to the United States. So
like Mexico has the most ruthless border controls you can imagine.
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly right. And so I would like to say, because I'm seeing they're after me more and more, I get a fair amount of it. And so I just would, I'd say, look, I'm going to issue you a challenge. If this is the way you want to do it, here's what I ask you to do. Sneak into another country, and then you behave there the way that you think it's okay for illegals to behave here. In other words, you pick the country. I don't care. Germany, Russia. I mean, make it a challenge. Don't do like Canada. Just you pick a country. You sneak in there illegally. You find yourself a little apartment. You run up an American flag right in front of it. Don't learn the language. Ask them to learn yours. Send your kids to public school, but don't pay into it. Do all of the things that you think are just justifiable for them to do here because you keep telling me that it is, and then you see what happens to you in that country. I don't care which country it is you go to. You just see if it's tolerated. And by the way, we're there. Pick whatever national song it is, whatever their version of the national anthem is. Call it oppressive and call it forced patriotism, and basically just say you shouldn't have to pay any allegiance to wherever it is that you wind up living, and just see how that plays out. Because in most other countries, it's not going to fly.
Yep.
You say it's okay here, though. I'm just saying these activists, these illegal activists, and they always leave the illegal part off. They always say Donald Trump hates immigrants. Donald Trump doesn't want immigrants. Donald Trump doesn't want immigrations. Trump supporters don't want immigrants. In fact, they say it about Republicans in general. Conservatives don't want immigrants. They always leave the illegal part off. Always. They're trying to rebrand it. They try to take it off because they can't call you racist if you're just against illegal immigration. They have to say all immigration. Then you're a xenophobe. Then you're a racist. Then you're jingoistic, and all the insults that can possibly follow. To do that, they have to constantly omit the word illegal. And I won't say undocumented. Piss on that. They're trying to reframe. Whenever they start to lose, they rebrand it. And whenever a liberal starts to lose an argument, they sort of rebrand it. The legal immigration thing, most of the country wasn't down with just leaving the borders open, so they try to rebrand it, and they start with the undocumented thing, and it's illegal immigration. So if you truly believe in open borders, and if you truly believe that immigrants should be able to come over here and behave in those ways, then I ask you to try it. Go ahead, pick a country and you try and behave that way. I just want to see on the 4th of July. Go over to Germany on the 4th of July. Wear your flag shirt, have some fireworks, have a bar, and see what happens. I guarantee you, it's not going to be as tolerant in most countries as it is here. If you want a real challenge, if you want to pop an achievement, then head over to the Middle East and give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, try flying a U.S. flag in Iran.
Yeah, see how it goes over there. I would just like for you to do that. It's funny because I get so much of it now on Twitter, and it's like they blame Trump for the entire move against illegals. But the fact is that it's been a festering wound for over a decade. And yeah, okay, he hammered it. He's the one that brought it to the forefront of this particular election. But it has been brought up in elections past, and even in the last couple, it has been brought up. So it's not a new issue, and it's not even a new conservative issue. It's an old conservative issue. It's just one that no one's ever had the balls to do anything about. They say they will. They're going to build a wall. They get funding for the wall, but then somehow the wall never gets built. Or they're going to deport. They're going to hire more ICE agents. They're going to secure the border, but then somehow it just never seems to happen. It's always on the back burner. So it's not a new issue. So don't blame Trump for this issue. It's not a new issue. It's just an issue that we haven't fixed. And by the way, when Donald Trump said we should ban Muslims from certain countries, he didn't say all countries, he said certain countries from entering our country until they're a little more stable, as to to avoid importing terrorists. It wouldn't be the first time that we did that. Jimmy Carter did it. And B, when he said that, it wasn't in response to any specific question. And so when they polled, I saw a very interesting poll. When Rasmussen polled people, Democrats in particular, when they said, do you believe in Donald Trump's plan on banning Muslims from countries where there's political unrest until they settle down? That's not exactly how they phrased it, but when they said that, 60 to 70% of Democrats said, no, I don't agree with that plan. But they retook the poll, they took Trump's name out of it, and 70% of the Democrats said, yeah, it was a good plan. Which I found quite fascinating.
Americans just have to accept that, yeah, you can have open borders if that's what you want. In the world we live in, an open borders is a guarantee of dead Americans. Because, people who come over the border and are hard-up people who all they want to do is get jobs for their families. I'm not saying there aren't people like that who come across the border, and the political and economic situation in Central and South America is absolutely heartrending. But shipping all of those people into America isn't going to make their political and economic system any better, because we've been doing it for almost 40 years, and it hasn't made it better 40 years. And at the same time, they're not the only ones who cross the border. Terrorists cross the border.
Exactly.
And if you allow open borders, if you refuse to secure the border, which is the official position of the Democratic Party, it's the official position of the leadership of the Republican Party, if that's what you want, you've just got to accept that there will be an X number of terrorist attacks every single year because of that policy.
Precisely. And let me clear one more thing up, too, while we're at it. When Trump said that there were rapists and murderers coming in from Mexico, and that that quote is frequently cut short and taken out of context, because the rest of it was that Mexico isn't going to willingly export or let their best and their brightest just stroll across the border and leave. It's the rabble, it's the troublemakers that they're going to let walk out. When Fox, the last Mexican president, Vicente Fox, was airdropping leaflets on how to sneak over the border into the United States, he wasn't passing these out in universities or hospitals or law schools, right? He was dropping them in the most impoverished shithole towns he could find, where he knew damn well he was just willingly exporting the bottom of his country's barrel in an attempt to clean up some of them were the most violent towns in the world. And so when Trump says that they're trying to export, see, the whole quote was about that. When he said they were trying to export their rapists, their murderers, their thieves, that's what he meant. He never said all Mexicans are rapists, murderers, and thieves. That's just a distortion, and it's an outright lie. He never said it. He never said that. And it makes sense. If you think about it, it makes sense. No country, Mexico doesn't have an open border. They have strict border control. We can't just wander in whenever we want. And if they wanted to stop people from leaving, they very well could. And they do. They do stop people, but not the dirtbags. They just let them come and go. And of course, why wouldn't you? If you're Mexico and you can get away with it, why wouldn't you?
It's Republicans, conservatives, average Americans are sick and tired of being told they should feel ashamed for not having the same opinions as the Republican elite, and Donald Trump is a reaction to that. That's my thesis.
Yes, I think my thesis is 75% your thesis and 25% it's a blowback against political correctness, and I stand by that. I think that's true.
So,
okay, so that was fun. I had a good time there. We did an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's good.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning back in. I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. I mean, the listens to the show are all over the place. We go between 70 or 80 to sometimes over 200. So as long as I can keep it up over 100, I'll probably keep doing it. I just don't want to be talking to an empty room. So at least for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to keep doing it. And as long as the listenership stays above 100, I think I'll keep doing it. If it consistently dips below that, it's just probably not going to be worth it, even though it is fun. It's just not, like I said, I just don't want to be talking to 10 or 12 people and wasting poor Jason's time. But, hopefully we'll keep it up. Go read, baconbitsshow.com is getting a fair amount of traffic, which surprises me. So, and still with I think my most read article is Farewell Daddy Warpig.
Really?
I believe that is my most read article, and my second most read article is Black History Month still necessary? But I don't think that's still. It might still be the second most read article, but it definitely Farewell Daddy Warpig is the number one over there. But it gets a decent amount of traffic. Google's been slow picking it up, which surprises me, but not Google a couple of years ago released Google Caffeine, where they promised to start indexing things much faster when they hit the web. And for the most part, I think that's been true. But still, if you don't have links in, it takes Google a long time to find it. And I think we have 2 links in, and they both come from the Ralph Retort. So until I get some more links, I think it's going to be a little bit slower to try to build that site up. But, because I can see I'm just now starting to see some people come in from Google, whereas before it was mostly direct referrals from Twitter or from the Ralph Retort. But I am now starting to get some internet traffic, and actually Yahoo found it. Yahoo found an index that site well before Google did. So there's that. Okay, well, everyone, thank you very much. It's been a great time. We will see you all next week at 8:00, and hopefully Ralph will be back. Like I said, his cat was sick. I don't want you all to take to Twitter and call him a pussy or anything, but he's nursing a sick cat. If you wanted to call him a pussy, I mean, that's on you, but all right. All right, I'll see you guys all next week. Thank you.